Hello everyone, my name is Gio from the Switchrpg podcast. Today we have a video showing the top 20 through 11 turn-based RPGs on the Nintendo Switch to date. If you are interested in listening to the episode in its entirety, please find the link in the description below. Hello and welcome everybody, my name is Gio from Switchrpg.com. We have a special episode here today. Today we are going over our top turn-based RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. We have nothing else to promote here, nothing else. This is just strictly top turn-based RPGs on the Switch. Now, we have quite a substantial list here. There are tons of turn-based RPGs, but we have a list of almost 40 RPGs here.
Gargantuan.
Yeah.
Gargantuan. And this wasn't even all of them.
No.
These are ones that we thought were worthwhile.
Right, exactly.
There was way more than this that we had to kind of shovel through.
Right, so we have 36 to be exact. Now, I'm going to go over our honorable mentions first. There are 16 of them. I'm just going to rattle them off, okay? Definitely going to want to, if you're out there, you're looking for turn-based RPGs, you're going to want to find interest in these. Final Fantasy VIII is one. Ring Fit Adventure. A lot of people don't even know that this is an RPG, and it is very much an RPG.
Yep. And an exercise.
And an exercise. Get outside or not get outside. I don't even know. Weird times right now. Cosmic Star Heroine is a kind of a throwback to Chrono Trigger. What else? Valkyrie Chronicles, the first one. And then Disgaea 4 Complete. I would say most of the Disgaeas you could put in here, but Disgaea 4 Complete Plus, I mean, there's so many iterations there. Final Fantasy VII did not crack our top 20. Mutant Year Zero. Now, there's don't play it in handheld mode. Play it in dock mode. You'll have a much better time enjoying it. It is not bad in dock mode. West of Loathing. Now, this is an old... Is this one of the... No, this isn't original. I'm thinking...
It released about... Getting close to like 2 years from now. So.
Okay. West of Loathing is a turn-based Western. Not a Western RPG.
It might have been 1 year ago.
Yeah, I think it's probably... I think you're right. Less than... about a year ago. West of Loathing is a Western set, not a Western RPG. I guess... I'm making it more confusing than what it is.
It's a Western. It's kooky. It's based on the Kingdom of Loathing, like old school web browser game way back, like in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's purely comedy based. It's like its own standalone game that is very much inspired by the Kingdom of Loathing stuff, but it's West of Loathing. It's a self-contained, just full romp RPG experience, but super heavy on the comedy. It's ridiculous. The classes that you pick are ridiculous. Just the quests that you pick up is ridiculous. It's actually really fun.
Yeah, and when I say Western, I'm trying to differentiate between a Western RPG and like a cowboy RPG. It's more of a cowboy RPG. Then we have Final Fantasy IX.
Excellent Final Fantasy game.
I prefer 9 and 10, honestly, but we'll get there. Disgaea 5, South Park, The Fractured But Whole, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and or Pikachu, Battle Chasers Night War. This is one of my go-tos. I absolutely love Battle Chasers. I love the artwork in there, the design there, the really comic book looking, cell shaded type of stuff. Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
And some people might be a little upset that it didn't make the top 20. If this were a different world, it could definitely make the top 20. Unfortunately, it didn't make it for this list.
It's in our world, Johnny. It's in our world.
Yeah.
Speaking of upsetting people, Undertale did not make our top 20.
Send all the hate to Gio.
You can send it to me, thenerdbasement@switchrpg.com. I love and open all emails. SteamWorld Quest is also one that did not crack our top 20. So quite a substantial list there. Definitely recommend those. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But we're ranking them here. So, all right, you ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Operencia, number 20. Operencia, the Stolen Sun. Now, this is a throwback to kind of your first person dungeon crawler. It looks really, really well. It plays really, really well. Um, I think on our site we rated it good. I'd have to look and see. Now there are some, things that are wrong with it. Like there are a lot of puzzles and the game doesn't really tell you exactly what to do. You're kind of left to your own vices to figure things out. But visually it looks good. The narrator and the voice acting is good. And I think I like the turn based here where it sets itself apart is that they are, you do have a party um, against, say, the field, and that field is also differentiated between your foreground, middle ground, and background. So there's some depth there, and some of your attacks are only powerful. Say, for example, range attacks are really good and strong against your further enemies, and your melee is really strong against your foreground enemies. And you kind of have to battle, that out and balance it out. Um, Operencia, is that something that you are familiar with, Johnny?
Well, I've seen the videos of you playing that game in
Okay.
particular, but for the genre, that old school grid-based movement, dungeon delving, exploring game, I kind of almost grew up on those to not an extreme amount, but whenever I could get my hands on them, I definitely played them, and I really enjoyed them. They were when it came to exploration, they tested your memory. You had to like really memorize how you navigated through the dungeon. The dungeon itself was pretty much a maze for each floor that you're going through, and you had to. And as you said before, the puzzle elements were very obtuse, and that's part of the old school design that they wanted to maintain to some degree, because those dungeon delving games, they were kind of like Myst, but with D&D elements in
Right.
there. So it's like
Right.
a beautiful combination of the two.
Yeah. I really enjoyed my time with it. And yeah, I definitely recommend that one as well. Why don't you introduce number 19?
So number 19 is Valkyrie Chronicles 4. And this game came out first on the Switch, and then it got later followed up by the original, the Valkyrie Chronicles game, which we have in our honorable mentions, as we just said.
Mm-hmm.
But 4 is definitely the better game, the better romp through. There's more polish in there. There's more interesting mechanics. Maybe the story might not be as great, but it offers something very different with the combat experience. Where yes, there is a real time aspect to when it is your character's turn, but you sort of have a budget, and depending on what you do with that character in real time, uh, if you're standing still, real time doesn't happen. So it's only
Okay.
when you're like moving or taking an action does your budget get spent. Kind of like other games, other turn-based games where you have like a limited number of actions that you can do, and like attacking costs 2 action points and
Okay.
moving costs etc. So it kind of has that going for it. But your movement is more important because there's terrain environment. What you are combating in is sort of like a mini battlefield where there are different terrain elevations. There is places to take cover behind, because this is kind of like a steampunk World War I kind of game.
Yeah, because
It's
you have like tanks and things like
Yep.
that, and like is it mortars that you have? And
Well, you have a tank. I don't know if you ever get more than one tank, but you have other squad members that have different classes, different roles that they fill out as well. So you can have like a sniper, you can have
okay.
machine gunners and grenader people that can use grenades that can help take down enemy tanks. So yeah, there's a bunch of different classes and roles, and you're controlling multiple of these characters, all of these individual units, at the same during the same set of combat.
Okay.
They just have to navigate differently, and you're controlling each one at different points during each round of combat.
Cool.
It's a very interesting thing that there's no other game on this list that plays the same way as this game.
No,
so it stands out as being pretty unique.
Yeah, definitely does. Number 18, Indivisible. Indivisible. I had a really good time with Indivisible. I got to put more time into it. I didn't realize that this was like a 30+ hour game. I really didn't realize that. And there are so many different, I'll call them party members. They're not really party members. They're all people or characters that live inside your main character's head. I guess I'll put it that way. And they're all, yeah, and they're all party members. But there are tons of them. There are over 30 of them as well. There's a lot of it, and they all play a little bit different. But it's almost now this is a turn-based grouping here that we have. But Indivisible is a little bit different. It certainly is turn-based, but it almost rides that line of active time battle as well. So there's a little bit of that. And in that there's just you can also, it has that Paper Mario effect where you can defend and also get extra attacks with button timings. So it also has a little bit of that as well. But it's fully voiced. It's fully voiced. The animation is really, really cool. The environments are awesome. The music is really good. The main protagonist isn't annoying, so she is really, really good. So Indivisible, it's a recent addition to the Switch, and it's very much recommended.
Okay.
Next, number 17. This is 3 games in one. The Banner Saga trilogy. Now, you recently finished the first one, right?
Yep, the first episode of it. Yeah,
and
it's
what do you think?
It is definitely a interesting experience. It definitely ends on a high, and it kind of starts a little bit of a low. And from what we have talked about a couple of times, the game definitely gets better as you play it. And the second iteration of the Banner Saga, as well as the third episode iteration, they get better and better with more polish, more refinement to the gameplay experience. So I'm definitely looking forward to jumping into the second one at some point when I'm ready to start that. I'm definitely looking forward to, because ending things with just the first one didn't end things, as I said, on a low, to the point where I felt disappointed with the experience. The experience overall is great, and as long as they fix the issues I had, like the clunky controls during combat and things like that, if they fix those things, then I'm definitely going to be on board for the second one. And eventually, after I finish the second one, as long as things are going the way I hope they go, I'll scoop up the third one as well. It's also very dire, and I like that. I like the fact that things just continue to get worse as you play the game.
Yeah, I think you call this like the modern Oregon Trail.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it very much feels that way. You know, you're on this giant just trek, and it's very dire. It just like feels gloomy the entire time. But the combat, it's a grid-based strategy type RPG. It's very small scale. It's not large scale at all. Like you're
small
not
and simple.
Yeah, you're not commanding large armies or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's
more like chess, because it's always you go with one of your units, and then the enemy goes with one of theirs. Always. No matter what. It's you go, they go, you go, they go. There's one small exception to that when there's one enemy left. Then you go into I forgot what they called it, but pillage mode or something like that.
Right.
Then that's the exception. But for the most part, it's you go, they go, and it's on a grid, as you said. So positioning is fairly important, but there isn't much to worry about in the way of terrain. There's almost nothing hazardous with the terrain. There might have been like one or two situations where there might have been something unique about it, but from what I remember, it's just a grid. There's no like terrain elevation at all. There's no obstacles to sort of get around or traps or anything like that. And I might be missing one or two very small, rare instances where stuff like that happened. But for For the most part, it's pretty straightforward. You move and you attack stuff.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sometimes these fairly straightforward, simple games are the better ones. They're very refined. I haven't played number 17, so I'll let you introduce it.
So number 17, actually kind of similar to the Banner Saga regarding its combat system, but taking it to the degree of complexity that you would want, that you kind of feel after playing the Banner Saga is lacking, is Felsil Arbiters Mark. And this is essentially a Final Fantasy Tactics based game.
Right.
It gives you that turn-based, grid-based movement of your characters, enemy characters. They're taking their turns based on their initiative order. There is terrain and objects within the terrain. The environment is a consideration. There's terrain elevation is going to be a concern. Positioning of your character is going to be a concern. The depending on your facing direction after you end your turn, you can choose to face a certain direction. If you get attacked from the sides, that's going to be different from getting attacked from the front or attacking an enemy from behind. All of those things come into play. You have unique abilities that you can use. You can move and do some sort of action. So it's the indie take on Final Fantasy, and it's done extremely well. These types of games are complex.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to them, and it kind of checks almost all the boxes combat-wise in a very good way. Executes it very well. It's not the smoothest, biggest budget of executions, but it does it very concisely. You're not going to get the fanciest of animations whatsoever, but it works, and it works really well. And the story is in the world, the theme that the game takes place in and that the plot takes place in is a unique tale that's being told.
Right.
So
yeah, this is definitely something I've always had my eye on, and I just really now I feel like I'm missing out. I really want to get this game.
it's real good, and it scratches that tactical RPG itch. If you thought the combat system of Fire Emblem was too simplistic, or missing something extra, then Felsil Arbiter's Mark will definitely give it to you.
Right. Spending my money. All right, number 15. Final Fantasy X and X2. This is a bundle. Yeah, I don't think you can get them separately, actually. But Final Fantasy X is probably one of my more favorites. I think Final Fantasy X and 9 are probably they're the ones. They're the ones. But Final Fantasy X, I had a really good time with. I love the story. I love the Blitzball. I'm just kidding. I don't like Blitzball.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does.
There are people who play that just for Blitzball. But it is a straightforward Final Fantasy turn-based RPG. It doesn't sway from that. It does have the what are those things? Those gargantuan things that can turn into. Oh, jeez.
Marbros? Summons?
No. Summons. Yeah, those big. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Those giant summons. Those are always fun to watch and destroy everything. I love the story in it. I really do. Some of the voice acting is a little questionable. But apparently with X2, I have not played X2, but apparently some prefer that one over X. So,
Well, X2 was fundamentally different in its combat because it had the job system in there.
There you
Whereas
go. Okay.
the original X had that big giant grid thing that was unique to each character.
Yep. It's kind of like a web type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the characters with Oron and who is the other one there? Not Waka, but Titus. Not is it Titus? Jeez, no,
I think it is Titus. The main character is Titus.
Yeah, but yeah, I
Waka's the
Blitzball player.
Yeah.
The Blitzball player.
Are you talking about the blue guy?
The blue guy. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
isn't there like a blue? He's kind of like a giant. He has like a tail or whatever. He's almost like a furry dude.
I'm gonna have to look it up now.
semi-animal looking. He has a lance. he's
Oh
like a
yeah, yeah. Oh shoot, what is his name?
jump. I forgot. I don't know his name. I never played the game, but I've seen the game. Like my brother played it, and I watched him play it a whole lot.
Right, I'm just trying to remember his name though.
Yeah. But it's so just those two games together is, if you're talking about biggest bang for your financial dollar buck, that is huge.
Yep.
That is massive. You're getting a lot of game there with them two bundled together.
Right, and I don't even think it's full priced either.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely
So
worth it.
it's just from a value sense, it's a really good value. If you're valuing your time, well, Final Fantasy X is still a great game. 10-2, I can't really. It's definitely not as good as 10. So
Okay.
I can say that.
Yeah, the guy you're thinking of is Kimari Ranso.
Kimari.
I would have never have guessed it. I remember the character. I just would never have guessed.
Right?
Guessed
Doesn't he
his
look?
name.
He's blue and he looks like a cat dude.
Yep. That's exactly what you said. It's just I would never have guessed his name. It's been a while since I played it. All right, number 14, Thronebreaker. Now you didn't put the full title in here. How am I supposed to?
I didn't put the full title.
Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, is is number 14. Now, here's what I'll say about this. Witcher 3, one of the worst aspects of Witcher 3, or a lot of people say one of the worst aspects is Gwent. Okay, this Thronebreaker is essentially built around Gwent, but it's not the same Gwent you're thinking of. They refined it, redid it, so it is a little bit different. Now, if you're not into card playing games, this is not going to be for you. But it has it is a card based game. But it also has outside of that, the overworld is really interesting. It's got a lot of things you can find in the overworld. The design in there, the way they've fleshed out the world, it's got a unique color palette. I don't know. It just really is. I like the way it looks. And it's got a really, really good story. The one thing The Witcher does well is they tell good stories. So it's definitely, if you're into those card-based games, and I know not everyone is, definitely you're going to want to check out Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales. Next, number 13, Child of Light.
Yeah.
This is an oldie. This is definitely an oldie. I think it originally came out like in 2014. So it's an older game. I'm talking obviously not on the Switch.
I think it's older than that.
Is it older than that?
I think it came out on the 360 PS3 years.
Oh, wow.
So it might be like a 2011 game.
Okay, well fact check me.
I'm on it.
You're on it. All right. Well, Child of Light. It is again. It's one of those games. It's a 2D platformer.
Nope, you're right.
Thank
2014. You. It did hit. However, it did hit the PS3 and 360.
Oh, so maybe the end generation.
The very end, yeah.
Okay. At its core, it is a turn-based RPG with active time elements where you can kind of manipulate the turns there by slowing them down or hitting them at the right opportune time. There's like a little window in the active time stamp there where if you hit them there, their turn goes back and they actually miss their turn. So there's some time manipulation there, but the overworld is essentially a platformer where you can kind of fly around, and it looks really, really cool. It's like a storybook, a watercolor storybook. I love the story in it. The soundtrack is minimalistic, but it almost is minimalistic where it fits the game. Like, say for example in Breath of the Wild, it's a very minimalistic soundtrack, and it fits and it works in that game. And this is one that and again, like I said, this came out in 2014, and I'm new to this, so I recently got it. I think it was on a really deep sale, and I got it. I was like, wow, I can't believe I've been missing this for this long. And it's not a long game either. It's a relatively short experience, but it's a really, really kind of fun game. Next, number 12. Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness and the Secret Hideout.
That it is.
That it is. Have you played this? Have you played this one?
I haven't. I've seen videos of it,
Okay.
seen lots of reviews. It's definitely something that I could get into if I had the time.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
would probably enjoy it pretty well. You're an alchemist, right?
Yep. You're an alchemist now. The Atelier has been around for forever. This is a long running series, but they're all kind of, well, at least this one is separate. That you don't have to know the entire history of Atelier to get it into this one. And yeah, you're essentially an alchemist, and the story is is very basic. Like, you just want to go on adventures. There's no dire situations involved in the story. But yeah, the basis of the game, or the foundation of the game, is alchemy, and how many different recipes you can make. It's got a very deep crafting system. But in terms of the battle, it is again another one of those active time battle situations, but it is a little more turn based. It's kind of, I'm trying to explain it the best way I can. I would say, yeah, it is more active time battle. There is a lot of that, but there are different levels of, I forget what they're called. You can get up to 3 different tiers of actions. I'm trying to remember. I didn't get to play through the entire game. I played through like maybe the first quarter of it. And yeah, the attack animations are really cool. It's got the anime-esque kind of style to it, and you got spells in there. You got a lot of different party members that you actually care about, and some of the party members are more fleshed out and more more a part of the story than the main characters at some point in time. So it's got a really kind of interesting story there.
Yeah, and for the record, active time battle systems are very much turn-based battle systems.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Just I think some people just don't. I don't know. It's kind of in that gray area where I don't think it is. I think it is definitely still turn based. It's just it's got a time association.
Yeah.
All right. Number 11.
Number 11.
Transistor. Have you played Transistor?
I haven't, but I've wanted to. Once again, it's just one of those games that's it's elusive.
Yes.
I keep missing it.
Keep missing it. I would definitely recommend playing it. It's the makers of Bastion, and they've also done Pyre, which you like.
I love Pyre. I don't like it. I love Pyre. Pyre is amazing.
Mm-hmm. You got,
and they also made a new game that's it's
Hades.
kind of in early access. What was that?
Hades.
Hades, yes.
Yeah. The name of the developer is kind of escaping me. Supergiant. There you go. Transistor is a really cool story. It's got the narrator. So if you're familiar with Supergiant games, you do have an overarching narrator, and it's basically the love story between a woman who is voiceless and the sword, who is actually the narrator in this. And it's kind of got a cool, I guess you could call it cyberpunky aesthetic to it. But it's
like fantasy future.
There you go. Okay, I'll accept that. I'll accept that answer. And the way it works is, and again, it's another one of those active time battle systems. But the skills can work in different ways. All right, so you can actually have your primary skills can also be your add-on skills. So you can slot all these skills in different ways. So say, for example, there's a move that will do a flurry of attacks. That same move can also be an add-on or support to another attack and do something completely different. So there are a lot of different ways you can build your character with the way you slot out your skills. So it's got a lot of different stuff going on with it. It can be kind of difficult. I think when I beat the game, I really didn't get a feel for how to play it until the latter half of the game. I was pretty much almost done before I was really comfortable in playing it. And part of that might have been the way you get the skills and progress through that game. The better skills are really at the end, so you're really kind of struggling in the beginning. But the story in it is is where this game sells. Just that narrator that kind of keep you know gives you the pace of the story in little bits. It's really kind of really cool. I think you'd like it. So buy it.
Oh, I definitely would like it. No
Okay.
question about that.
No question. Just it's just elusive.